Hello, hello everybody. How are you? Happy Saturday. Okay guys, so let's talk about covering our pimples. I'm going to show you how to cover your pimples without them looking cakey or, you know, crusty. Crusty was the word I was looking for. Cakey and crusty. Cakey or crusty. Okay, so you don't need tons of stuff. We're just going to use a little bit of concealer. So you'll want to get a concealer, and I'll go over how you match the color for your concealer. But like anything, when we're dealing with acne, I always suggest that we have a really good base on our face. So I always suggest moisturizing, making sure the skin is hydrated, that kind of thing. So I'm going to get some moisturizer here. And as you can see, I have some hormones going here. I'm full-blown pregnant here. I only have a month left, so I'm starting to get the hormonal acne going. But I always suggest let's find a good cleanser and moisturizer for you, because that's really going to help with the skin. But we also want to make sure that we as well are properly covering it. Now let's see here. So before you cover anything, you want to make sure that you spray that face with, my primer is almost gone. Lovely. Let me see if I can spray it on here on my brush. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to just spray my face with some primer. For some reason it's, there we go. There we go. We got the primer going. Okay, so the reason why you want to put a primer on before you're, anytime you're putting on a makeup, is because you want to make sure that you are putting a barrier between your face, the acne, and the makeup. Okay. Obviously I use a non-clogomogenic foundation, which means it's not going to clog your pores, but it doesn't matter. You still have to use a primer. Everybody should be using a primer, especially a water-based primer. Stay away from silicones, stay away from silicas, all of those, like the gel-based, those clog your pores. And they also, they do feel soft and smooth, but they are harmful to the skin. Okay. So when we're talking about pimples here, the biggest thing you want to think of is the color wheel. And I have a color wheel around here somewhere. So when you're thinking of red and you're thinking of purple, all those fun things, you want to think of what is opposite on the color wheel. And let me see if I can get this pulled up here, and then it'll show you guys how to color correct. So color correction is very easy. Hi, Jamie. Color correction is so easy. All you have to really remember is your basics from the color wheel. I'm trying to get my tablet pulled up here so I can show you guys. And so once you understand this concept, it's going to be so much easier for color correcting, for covering anything that you have when it comes to redness, melasma, all that fun stuff. Now, with redness, if you look across from the color wheel, which my tablet is not pulling up yet because it is deader than a doornail, you're going to see it's more of a salmony color. Or more of a, I didn't mean to say salmony color. It's more of a olivey kind of tone that we're thinking of here. Okay, so I'm pulling mine out here. Now, that's why I prime, because I want to make sure I'm protecting that, but also primer helps reduce redness. Okay, well, not all primers. Not all primers. The primer that I use reduces redness and inflammation. It even has vitamin B in it, which is super important. It helps to strengthen your skin while it is fighting that acne. So if any of you are struggling with acne and you use makeup and you feel like it looks kind of cakey, this is going to be for you. This is definitely for you. So I love this little dome brush, okay, which you can get this little dome brush in our limited Christmas one. So you can see I have another one right in here. It is so gross. Let me see if I can. See if I can see it better. There we go. I can see it better. I couldn't see it as well. Okay, so I'm going to just take... Now, I want you guys to look at this here. Do you see how it's like kind of red, but it's like cracked, right? See, it's like cracked right in there. So that is one of the biggest concerns that I have a lot of people who message me is they talk about how it looks like cracked. Okay, so I'm going to give you a solution to that. And I got to get it here. Oh. Okay, so the solution for that is taking a little bit of translucent powder, which you don't need a lot of powder. And you just take a little translucent powder. And that's going to help put that barrier on there. Now, I don't recommend, you know, open wounds and picking and all that stuff. I washed my face this morning and I washed too hard. And then this is what I got. Okay, so I did that, and now I'm going to go in and I'm going to take some primer. Actually, not primer. I'm going to take some setting spray. Sorry. And I'm just going to... Oh, I need to get rid of some of these. Some of these are full. Some of these are not full. See? Some of them are full. Some of them are not full. And then I'm going to take this brush here with the setting spray, and I'm just going to... There we go. Okay, so I got some setting spray on there with that translucent powder. So that's going to keep it from looking, you know, bloody or crusty or anything like that. I hate that term. I hate the term crusty. That's the only term I can think of, though. I'm not a fan of the term crusties. It's a gross word to me. I don't know. I'm weird. I'm getting my other concealers up here so you guys can see them with the color wheel and stuff like that. Let's see here. A two. I need my 3 here. Oh, here we are. Complete concealer palettes. Okay. So we have so many different concealers right now. As you can see, there's different shades. And so you're going to notice, like, I'm going to use different ones to cover stuff. That's how it goes. That's how we cover. Okay. So you're going to see me use this one mostly. Okay. Because it matches my skin tone. Okay. My skin tone. And that should be pretty dry by now. Just trying to get my tablet to pull up so I can show you guys something. But it's deader than a doornail. It is dead. Okay, so we put that translucent powder on there. We put the setting spray on there. So if you have crusty, flaky, obviously moisturizing is going to be so important. But what we just did is very important as well. It's part of the process. So I really love this dome brush. It helps. Okay. Okay, so we got that on that first little doodad. Okay, so do you see how it went from looking kind of bloody? Now it's like covered. And all I'm doing is going around on the side of it. Okay, I'm just going around on the side of it. And then I'm just patting it on the top. That's all I did. Okay, so I used a natural color that matches my foundation. The concealer that I used before, I used it because I wanted you to see how a lot of people struggle with that bloody crusty look, and how it can cause the skin to look like that. So I wanted you guys to see how much easier it is when you do with a foundation or a concealer that matches your skin tone, that's going to match your foundation, and then prepping it, okay? And then all I'm going to do now is I have to seal this, right? So I'm going to take some more of that translucent powder, okay? And I'm just going to take it and I'm just patting it on there, okay? I'm just patting that on there. Now, why am I putting translucent powder on top of what I just covered? Because it sets the foundation. It sets the foundation. And then I go as far as to spray some setting spray on there because I want it to be 100% guaranteed covered, okay? So when you're dealing with pimples, we have different colors. We have red, we have purples, we have dry flaky. So when we're looking at dry flaky, we're looking at first correcting the issue. Correcting the flakiness, correcting the dryness, which we would do first with a moisturizer or a facial oil. And then we would move on to then covering it. Okay, what's the color? If it's reddish, then we have to correct it with across from the color wheel, and we have to look at what color is going to even it out, right? So if we have purple, blue eye, purpleness underneath our eyes, we have to have more of a greenish olivey tone. That's across from the color wheel. So when we're dealing with redness, pimples, we want to deal with more of a salmony color that matches our foundation shade. Okay, so as you saw, all I used was this little doodad color, and I used this tiny little dome brush, which you can get in our limited edition travel brush set, which is coming back this week. Super cheap, but I love this for covering pimples. I love it for covering pimples. I love it for eyeshadow, getting in the inner corners of your eyes. I love it. And I love it for covering my melasma too. So this brush is by far the best one for covering pimples because you just pat that sucker on there. So now that that is on there, I set it with translucent powder. I sprayed it with setting spray. I am good to go with putting foundation on it. Super simple 101 of covering acne and avoiding it from looking crusty. Now, if you were here at the very beginning, make sure you watch the replay because I showed you how I treated it when I first put on a concealer. You could see the redness and the crustiness. That's the #1 problem that people run into, is they get that crackly, crusty look. And so we treated it with moisturizer, but then we went in and we put some translucent powder on it and sprayed it with some setting spray before we applied anything to the skin, because it makes like a fast barrier on top of that pimple. So you're not going to see that redness. You're not going to see that open wound. And so now you can see it once was crusty and bloody, you know, from washing my face. Now you can't even see the crusty and the bloody. Okay, so let me show you here how that's going to look when you apply the foundation to it. Now I'm using one of my favorite new blenderfuls. This is a great new blenderful, and it works really good, especially with covering the acne. I just have to get it wet a little bit. I always use a wet blender. Okay, so now that you have covered that pimple, now we're going to show you how it looks with foundation on it, right? How natural it's going to look. You don't need a lot of foundation. I'm just going to apply that. Now you can also take a brush very similar to this one if you want to. It's a diffuser. Okay. And all we're doing is applying that foundation. Okay. So look how it nicely, I need to use a brush. It's easier for me to use like a eyeshadow brush when I'm perfect. It doesn't look crusty, it doesn't look hard, just covers it really nice and soft. You can even use a harder brush like this. And I'm not going on top of the pimple. And the reason why is because I don't want to create more of an issue. Okay? Covers nice and easy. You're not seeing it. It's not creasing. And I didn't put a lot on. Just nice and fresh covered. Okay? So I love how that goes on there. Now I'm not putting a ton of foundation on because I don't need to do that today. But I just wanted you guys to see how much better that looks. Doesn't look crusty, doesn't look hard, doesn't look bloody, anything like that. So perfect. So I hope you guys have a great Saturday. If you have any questions, if you're not sure what salmon base you would use for your skin tone, make sure you reach out to me. So I'll talk to you guys later.